Hello everyone, this is Mool Shankar. I will be talking about all about the smart contracts. Uh, this is me. You can contact me. Most of you are in. We already are in the link. If somebody is new, whoever want to contact me, this is my LinkedIn profile. You can contact on Facebook and my email address wherever you want. Today agenda is all about smart contract that we also in Hyperledger Fabric we call chain code. We will be writing the chain code using Go language. Then we will be compiling and deploying the chain code. And then we will be running and testing that chain code. Then in the final, we will be developing a small web application to just check how we can connect our client side using backend to Hyperledger Fabric network. So let's begin. Yes. Basically, as I told you, in Hyperledger, smart contract is called chain code. In other Ethereum and other blockchain network, they call the smart contract. It's same. It's basically we in blockchain, smart contracts are the bread and butter of the blockchain technology, where we write our logic, business logic, where we can exchange our assets, maybe money, real estate, retail product, or etc. Anything we want to exchange the value of any assets, we will be writing in the smart contract. Basically, smart contracts, as I told you, that it handles the business logics that are agreed by all the members of the network. Whoever is the participant in the network, they all will be agree that this, yes, these are the conditions, these must be fulfilled for every contract. For this contract, then it all the logic will be inside the block smart contract. Smart contract automatically execute the transactions and records record the information on the ledger. Basically, there are three options available currently in Hyperledger Fabric to write the chain code. Now, from now onward, I will be saying the chain code rather than smart contract. There is Go language, there is Node.js, and there is Java also. There is a good discussion going on. People are asking that which is the better language to go with the blockchain, and what's the best option for the blockchain means to write the chain code in Hyperledger Fabric. I found very good discussion. I will be sharing that uh, as we all know that Golang is the default language for Hyperledger Fabric. I will be muting some of the participants. There is a noise. Please mute yourself as it causes sometimes disturbance. Basically, people are asking that which language is better to choose. As we all know that Go is the Hyperledger is providing maximum options for all over the community to have different options rather than learning the new skills or new language. Currently, there are, as I said, Go, Node.js, and Java are available. I found very good discussions here that people are saying that whatever is comes default Hyperledger Fabric first provide for the Golang. So Golang is definitely is a default. Whenever new features they announce that they always provide in the Go language. And a few people they have done a little bit research that they say that we using the Node.js, when we use Node.js chain code uses the npm install at the time of the container building, which is slow and might fail due to the network problem, while Golang just compile the source code without fetching anything. So this is what I found the difference that in Node.js we might face this issue. I personally I haven't done anything, but I also found some. I will be providing you the link that there are good discussions that that's going on that which language to use. And chain code features are introduced into Golang chain code first, then later on the other implementation. This is I already said, and somebody also shared that the size of the images are in Node.js are bigger than the Go SDK. So and one more thing for the Java guys, that in 1.0 for sometimes Java was discontinued. I don't know the reason, but then again it was available in 1.1. So I always prefer Golang to be to as a default language. I always prefer Go language. So we will be using the Go. We will be learning how we can write the chain code using Go language. It's up to you. It's all means more about means everyone's choice that whichever you language you want to choose. But I share some discussions and some research of the people that so that's also a reason I chose the Golang. Every in the when we are writing the chain code, we have to implement the chain code interface. We need to implement this interface to writing a chain code. I will be talking theoretically, then we will be going to we will be going to the practical. Then first I will try to give you a bother me if you already know it. Maybe if you are new, then it will be good for them to start with writing. So we have to. There are two methods defined in this interface. There is init and there is invoke. So init is just like it is called once at the time of the instantiation, and it's just like a constructor. If you say that in object-oriented language, it's a constructor. So it will be called only once whenever the chain code will be instantiated. And the reason they have provided, suppose we want to initialize some values. So we will be doing in the init method, we will be initializing some values, or even sometimes people, if you go see the example fabric examples, there are suppose for the testing you want to initiate the ledger, so you will be always writing in the init method. But normally it is like we say that we have to have defined this init method because we have to implement this interface. But if you want to initiate something, or if you want to give the default values, so you will be writing in the init method. And there is another method that is invoke, that we will be using a lot during the calling the means Hyperledger the ledger data in the fabric. So when client invoke a specific function to process the transaction proposal. So we will be writing all the functions inside this invoke method. So we have to uh, we have to implement these two methods. So I will go further. We have to know about the chain code sub interface. This is also very important to know that when we are implementing when we are writing the chain code, then we have to implement this interface also. It is providing number of most important APIs that will be like invoke the chain code. We will be getting the data from this. We will be getting the state of the ledger. We will be writing the data. We will be using the put state if we want to delete something from the blockchain using the key. Key will be the just like a primary key. We will be providing that, and we will be deleting the data. And there are others also like get the transaction ID, get the channel ID. These are some basic methods that are available in this interface. So just to know that we will be using that. There are, if we are using private data, then we will be using the get private data state. So when you can further see what are the other options available in this interface. So today for this creating the chain code, we will be using a small example that there is a hospital asset management company. They are ordering the equipment. They will be ordering the equipment to the manufacturer of that equipment. And when they order the equipment, the company will be shipping to the inventory system of the. I mean, it will come to hospital asset management system, or you can say inventory, or you can say it depends upon the organization. So it will be coming inside the inventory when the equipment company ship this order. Then the hospital will be issuing that equipment to one of the hospitals. So there will be number of hospitals in the number of chain or number of the branches of this hospital. So they will be shipping that, and they can. So we will see that I created just a simple example that we will be having a three process, and now how I can implement my own chain code to write this process. Just a simple for simple simplicity, we will be so how I will be sharing my way of creating the blockchain smart contract in Hyperledger Fabric or chain code in Hyperledger Fabric. So it's not full and final. So I will be sharing my experience. It can be different, but whatever we have to implement these things. So I always divide in these in three in few steps like 6 steps. So this is how I divide my writing my chain code. Excuse me. Again, somebody Sandeep. Okay, sorry. So in first step, we will be importing in writing the Go. This is as I said that I will be using the Go language. So we will be importing few of default packages to that we will be utilizing. So we will be encoding and decoding the JSON. We will be using the simple. This is FMT for writing, printing the printing function for in the Go. So we will be using FMT, and most importantly, these two we have to you can say copy paste these two packages. These are not available by default. We have to get it using when we will be using that. We will have to get it from GitHub. So these are the shim and chain code shim that I asked that I shared already, that these will be providing the default interfaces like chain code interface and the stub interface. So we will be getting from these packages. Then what I do, I give the name of the my chain code. Means I will be defining the type structure. So this is how I define in the first step. This is how I define my chain code. I gave the name asset management that will be using down. And I was searching that in Hyperledger Fabric 2.0, if you are working on 2.0, so they have provided the Fabric contract API to use rather than shim and this peer. So if you want to explore, this is not a today's topic. So yes, any question? I think somebody raised a hand. Okay, so this, and in the second step, I always define what the data I want to save for my smart contract, for my chain code, what the data I want to save in the Hyperledger network, what the data I want to save in the ledger. So then I decide for that. So in this sample, in this example, I will say that I will be having an ID that will be using that. That's just like a asset ID that will be the primary key for this ledger, and this I will be defining the asset type, status, location, serial ID, comment, from, and to, whatever. It's just a sample. It can be more complicated, but for the simplicity, I just make few attributes, so that I will be using in these three processes. So then in the second step, I define my the date. You can say that I define my variables. So that will be using I define the attribute that will be I will be saving in the ledger. Then in the third step, as I told you that we have to use these two we have to implement these two methods. Then I decide that what are the operations I will be performing for chain code. Like I showed in that I will be ordering, then the equipment company will be shipping that, and then the inventory management team will be issuing that equipment to the hospital. So this is how now I am clear that this is I am clear that these will be the processes. We can modify that. This is not a full and final, but now the things are means I'm just making my before writing the before writing the logic, I am just making that these will be the methods that I will be using in invoke to order to make the shipment to issue that. So then further drill down, if we go, then as I told you that invoke will be used to call all these activities, all the functions, what the transactions on the means by the client. It, here we will be getting in the stuff. There is one more important method that we have to get the parameter and the function name before calling that invoke. So we will be in the first will be first argument will be always the first. It will give you the function name, and then we will getting the arguments that we will be passing in that specific function, like initiate the asset. Suppose we want to invoke the initiate asset. Suppose number one, we will be initiating the asset, so we will be calling the now we will be, so we decide that whatever the functions we will be using, so we have to write in the invoke, so that we can to make it clear, so we will be writing the separately, and we will be calling this in initiate asset when the user send the parameter init with the argument. And if it's order, if it's shipment, if it's issue, these three will be the main processes we will be doing. Then suppose I want to query the how I can query this transaction, how I can query the ledger. So we will be writing one more function that will query the ledger, and it will bring the data. We can have from this will be very simple, but we can have very complex queries as well if we want. So for the simplicity, we will be using the simple query by getting with the key. And of course, we are using the blockchain. We must need to know about the history of what exactly went with this, how many transactions happened, and what exactly the transaction ID is there. So we will be having one more function to get a story history. So now I'm clear with my processes, my define what will be my methods. Everything is done. Now I will go to implement my logic for that smart contract. This is how I normally do. And if you find it makes very life easy, and you know that it is very painful to we have to be very careful writing the smart context, so that because it will be make our life easy. So now I said that in the fifth step, I always define the methods that we have created here. The initiate asset, number one, order, shipment, issue. So I will be creating one now. This the time the actual time of the implementation of these the methods. What we will be doing with this. So here I will be initializing the assets. User has to provide the three arguments. Number one is asset ID, asset type, device ID. If we want to verify, suppose there is an integer, we can verify, we can have the logic here. So we can return directly from here rather than going through. So this is somewhat like you can say validation. Now here I have make it simple that the argument should be three. So otherwise, we will be giving the error to the means whoever is calling. We will be giving that expecting the number of argument. We can say that we're now expecting three numbers of argument. We can make it more readable, or we want to validate that either it is integer or a string, or so there are number of ways. So for simplicity, I'm just making checking only the validation of three arguments. So I will be define the assets. In the start, it will be just these statuses also. This is for just a simplicity. I make it start, order, ship, and issue. So for simplicity, in the initiate, I always say start. So it depends upon our it depends upon our requirement. But for understanding, so we will be marshalling this JSON object, and now we will be this put state. This will be writing the data on the ledger, and it will with the state ID and how all the JSON object that we have created here, it will be saved in the blockchain. So If it's successfully saved, it will return the success. If there is anything wrong, or if we can catch the error that if there something went wrong, so we will be showing that failed to create the asset. So this is how we do. And in the other methods for these things, we will be updating that asset. So what I have done that I have created simple three methods for order, and in every method I will be calling the update state that will be updating the state of whatever the asset we have initiated in first. So on the basis of that ID, it will be updating in the order. It will making the order, and I'm sending here the hard code values. But definitely when we are practically doing
आ
with
गया क्या
uh,
ये
hello,
कहाँ का शेर है
sorry. Okay, so we will be in the order, we will be calling the update state, and we will be sharing these state and from where it came, and from or to these. I will show you in a while that what exactly going on in the state, and to make it it means to the shipment, we can make it. We are updating the same ledger, so better to have a sending the data from one place, so to make it more clear rather than writing the code for this is what we normally do, writing the code much clear that will be easy to understand for others also. So this is what I do. And in the update status, I will be getting the parameter, the status number. First argument will be the state ID. Number two is the location, that is according to our chain code. And then we will be getting the asset I with the asset ID. This is how we get the data from Hyperledger Fabric ledger. So we will be providing the valid asset ID. If it's there is a data, then we will be getting the data. Otherwise, there will be error, and we can have here we can display the error that there is something wrong, or we can check if this is null data, or maybe asset ID is not valid. So we can show here. So this is my business logic. This is again, it's a hard code. It's not this is just for the demonstration purpose. It's not a production, or you can say you in the production you cannot use like this. So for just simplicity, I have created this. If status is this and not this, then do this. So I will be and after all the business logic, finally we will be creating our object, and we will be saving with this same asset ID. We will be writing this data, and it will be successful. If it's something everything works fine, then we will be showing that this data has been generated. Then this is one more method to get a history of the data, to get a history. How we normally get the history, I have created this again I want the in the history the transaction ID and the asset as a whole. So this is how we normally do and get the history for key. So we will be this method in the stub chain code stub interface will be uh, giving us the all this history with this asset ID. And then we again get we will be looping that data, and we will be displaying whatever we how this is whatever type or whatever the output we want. We will be doing the further operation on that, and we will be getting basically this is a main method to get the history for using this asset ID that we will be using. And finally we create the main function, and we have to call the shim.start and with the we have to write the name of the chain code that we have given above, and this will be starting our chain code. So these are the steps normally I do. This is how we make our life easy to make our chain code. So what we do, if you go there here, now I can have I can save the template so that I can use everywhere that template. I will be only changing the methods according to the requirement, according to the uh, the business logic according to chain code for what we are doing. So I will be just replacing that. So and replacing the logic we can use, even we can use the same get st method or query method, so we can use. So we will have a template once we have defined the template, so we will be using everywhere rather than maybe by writing we can do the mistake. So it will, this is what I do it. Again I will say that this is not a standard by Hyperledger or anywhere, but this is what I do. I wanted to share with you guys. Now let's go. We will be so if we go uh, now we have to summarize all these things to write in one chain code. So this is how I will be adding these things all together, which I have mentioned you in these steps. So this is the final chain code that we will be deploying, we will be initiating, we will be invoking in means in a while. So this is my final chain code for this sample, and this is a import package I told you. This is the structure I defined, that what exactly the data will be saved. This is the init method. Normally we don't have anything to initialize here. So suppose if there is anything, we will be initializing here. Even sometimes I can call, I can have a whatever the initiate asset, I can directly, for the simplicity, I can directly initialize here. But we have to be careful. Every time is when we update the chain code or and initiating, it will be automatically creating these ledgers. So normally we keep it. Means we don't we always create the separate method. Here is the initialize asset. So this is my invoke method of chain code interface. That these are two methods we have to, and in this there is a this is the logic I show you, that whatever the function name you will be providing during invoking, it will be calling. If we are not providing the valid name, then it will be showing that invalid function name. This is simple logic for these order, and this is initiate asset. That's what it will be creating the assets. It will be creating with the status start. Update asset, this will be getting the data, and then it will be updating the same whatever the, even we can have many if and else or many whatever the requirement of if we want to. Suppose in the initiator we have to do the validation, that suppose in always when we put the asset, then it will be updating on that asset ID. So suppose we don't want to suppose there is an order of the company or any assets we don't want to uh,
नहीं ले लो ना, रेमंड से पॉइंट जा रहे हैं.
please mute if you don't mind. Please mute. If you have a question, you can ask me. If you uh, it causes disturbance. So suppose we want to see that suppose this is the ID. If I'm not checking that this ID is already there, suppose there is a business requirement that it should not update to the existing ID. Whatever we will be adding in the put state, it will be updating that. It will be creating the new transaction. So here, if suppose we have to check the logic that uh, it exists already, this ID, asset ID is already exists or not. So this is what normally we do in the programming. We go to the database, we check that if it's already out. There are different ways, but we normally check that if it exists in the ledger. So we will be showing directly we will be sharing the returning the error that this is already exists. So how we will be doing, we will be we will be getting here the data first, then we will be getting the data, then we will see if it exists, then we will be
माइक
returning.
नहीं था. जा रही थी वेबिनार पे.
Sorry. So any question? Hello. Okay. So this is what the my chain code is. Let's go into the machine that how we can. We know that what exactly. I will be opening a command here for my lady. Give me a moment. This is my virtual machine. I will be. I have created one folder. I have created one folder HSC Hyperledger Study Circle Asset Example, and normally what I do, I create the folder in the same that there is a chain code is here. We create the chain code and the client application that we will be later. So the first step in the so what we do normally, I copy this from chain code from here to Hyperledger Fabric chain code folder. To it will be easy to accessible. There are different ways you can access this from different part, but normally how I do, I create. If you go here, we already have in CD. Let's set my desktop fabric sample. You go that we have already folder chain code. Now for this learning purpose, what we do, we can we can copy this chain code to create a folder here, and we will be using this during. So the first step, we will be copying the. I already copied it, so I will be sharing these commands also in the presentation. So what I do, I create the HSC asset, the name of my chain code or any folder, then I copy the chain code which I already written here. So next step, we will be going to in the for this we will be opening the terminal. Then how we can deploy this chain code? I will be going. We will be using the sample Hyperledger chain code Docker mode, dev mode for the development. There is a already folder. We will be going that folder. We will be after that uh, we will start our Docker compose. This there is a file for chain codes sample file that will be creating one CLI, one chain code, and one it will be creating our Hyperledger Fabric network. It will create one order, one. So if you go here, this will bring a network with a single sample MSP Polo Solo order profile. It also launches peer node, CLI, and chain code container. That for in the first step, we will be using the CLI to deploy the our chain code. How we can use the CLI. Then in the next step, we will be creating the script file. So I will be sharing both these methods. So uh, we have to open the new terminal. We will see we see that there are 4 containers for already running. There is a CLI, there is a chain code, there is peer, there is order. So what we will be doing, we will be going to chain code. We will be now we have copied the chain code here. And the next step, while we have to do, we have to build that chain code. CD, if I go, that we have, I already did it, but we can, if there is any problem in the chain code, we can build outside also. But normally, what we do, yeah, I will always go and define. I copy the chain code and I again build here. So if there is any error, it will be giving you the line number or some description about that. You can go and check that what exactly wrong with the chain code, and so you can replace that or you can correct that, and you can again build the. So our chain code is completely built with without any error. The next step is, so we already did. We will be defining our the name of the peer, and we will be giving the peer address. Here it is. For this sample, we have these. So I will be giving the ID of my chain code. This is the HSC asset. Whatever the name you want to do, here is the version. So I will be giving the folder name. So where is the path? So in this, I will be. So this is running. I will create an. I will now dive in the CLI I will create open another terminal to use the CLI. In this step now, the main we have to install this. We have to install this chain code that we already built it. So we will be installing the first step. We always has to install the chain code. So I will be copying. So you can say that you can see that this is successfully installed. You can find sometimes you got the error, but you can see that this is chain code is installed successfully. If we want to see that there are different commands, we can see that how many chain codes are installed. PR chain code list installed. So we can see that this chain code version we have given the 0, we can give 1 or whatever. So we can see that this is a path of the chain code I given. So this with the this ID, this is installed. If we see that how many chain code are instantiated, let's instantiate first. Then after installing, we have to instantiate. This is the first one-time activity we will be doing. After the installation, we have to do instantiate the chain code. Here we, if I show you, here we have to give some, we don't have to provide any argument, as I told you that init method is not taking any argument. If there is any argument, we have to provide the argument. We have to give the chain code version name, and we have to provide the channel name. When for this dev sample example, the channel name is my C with the channel name. So we have to provide the same channel name. So now if I want to see here, chain code list instantiated. Okay, we have to give in here, we have to provide the name of the channel also. So from which channel we want to see. So this command will be asking that. So we have successfully instantiate this chain code. So next step was, now we will be invoking whatever the methods we define our chain code. We will be invoking these one by one, that how we can invoke. We will go here on my commands. So in the initiate, we have to provide the 3 parameters. Here I have given 100 ID. For that I am initiating my X-ray machine as a asset X-ray machine. Here I am providing the serial ID. So these 3 parameters. This is the command PR in chain code invoke. We have to give the name of the chain code. We have to provide the parameters, and then we have to provide the minus capital C will be. Okay, I think here is missing. So let's try. If you see here that we have successfully the device ID is this, we have status is this, X-ray machine has been, this ledger has been initiated. The invoke method has successfully. If we want to query that with this that what exactly has done. So we can directly query. In our logic, we have written that we will be providing the name query and we will be providing the asset ID. So if I go and I check that, it will be more readable. You can see that for now, this is my ID, this is asset type, this is saved successfully. For right now, we have not, so we will be firing other commands. Like now, we will be, the next step, we will be order that the company is ordering the equipment, the location is, so let's order this. And if I now query that, so we can say that now status is order as per our whatever the logic we have written. So and location is New York, the company. This is device ID now. In the comment, the initial order from office administration and from administration to OEM, original equipment manufacturer. Now go to the next step. We have to ship to the company. Uh, these are the commands are same. We have to change the name of the function. In the invoke, we have to provide first. We have to provide the name of the function. Then there first will be the name of the function. Then there will be the number of argument whatever we have provided. Copy. Okay, now what exactly doing that this office administration is shipping this to Dubai. Now if I query this, so I can say that this X-ray machine to a, okay, this comment is copy paste, but if you see the status, basically the comments, whatever exactly it was copy paste, we always make problem. So to office from OEM to administration. So this is logic. Otherwise, you can see that this is successfully shipped to. This is how we invoke our chain code. This is how we install our chain code. The next step, if we want to see the last method, we want to see the complete history. What exactly happened to this order? What exactly? How many transactions has been done on this? So we have within our method get history. We will be providing the device ID, equipment ID. So if I copy this JSON and if I open in JSON formatter maybe, so we can have a better view what exactly happened with this. In the first transaction, we just initiated this. In the second transaction, we order it, whatever the field change. So this is the history of the Hyperledger Fabric ledger. So for this chain code, so then we have shipped that. So these all are transactions that are we have read successfully from the ledger. So any question for now? Is everything clear? If you have question, you can. Okay, so basically this is how we use the CLI. So sometimes it's very painful to create if open these different terminals and uh, write copy paste these commands and this. So better when we are developing our web application. So we have other option that we can have a script file that will be creating our that will be starting our network, and then after starting it will be installing the whatever the steps we have done, it will be we can do writing in the script. So we will see how we can do it. I will be closing these terminals to make it exit. Exit. Last one. We can see will be so whenever we do this, first thing we do.
Muchaka, your voice just dropped.
Sorry, it's clear now.
It's better.
Yes, thank you. So, because this is my development machine, I said, so whenever we do these things, we always kill our, we always remove the Docker images. Sometimes it creates an issue. So these are some commands. Before moving further, I will be stopping all these container and stop.
No, your voice dropped again. Yes.
Maximum volume.
Better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Thank you. So I will be removing these Docker images. I will be clearing my network. This is just like a clearing the cache. Now we have successfully. So for this, normally, if you see the fabric samples, there are many examples available. Whatever we have done previously, so how we can create our script, I will be explaining that part exactly has been done to create the script to do by just one single command rather than firing all these commands. Typing these commands. So in first of all, we will be deciding that what is my chain code language I will be using, where is my path of my chain code I will be giving here. So if there is anything, any keys are there, we have to remove that. In this example, we will be using the Hyperledger Fabric basic network. It will be creating the CouchDB also. So we will be using that. Then there is already command there in CouchDB. In basic network, it will be starting as per the default configuration. There you can check that there is a peer, there is a CouchDB, there is order, there is CA. So whatever the defined there in Docker file, so it will be starting all the network with the configuration there. So then we have to go inside. We have to bring up our CLI container. What I have done. So we have to bring our CLI container. Then we have to write. We have to provide these. What will be my MSP ID? What is my path of my configuration path? So ignore it if you are these are mostly uh, these are the administration part, but we have to just see that this is where our MSP and the files available. So here is the part that what I have done, that peer install chain code install. We have to give the name. Here I will be giving the version of the chain code. The path we have defined will be coming from variable we already defined, and the language also. So it will be what this command, what will be doing. This command will be this script will be firing this command, and it will be installing the chain code from whatever the path we have given. It will be installing that on that peer, and we have to, because sometimes it takes time, so we always have to write some sleep so that the next command should be only fired when the first command is completely the install the sometimes it takes time to install the chain code. So if we don't stop here, we get a error. So in the next step, we will be initiating this. Here the channel name we have to provide the order, and this is what the default. We have to provide the configuration. We have to give the channel name. In the previous example, it was myc. Here it is my channel. If you have any different channel name, you have to with the capital C, you have to provide the channel name. You have to provide the name of the chain code, what exactly it will be, and we have to provide the parameter as our initiation doesn't take any argument, so it will be empty. So we have to provide the empty argument. Even here we can provide the policy, that what will be our consensus policy, or what will be the endorsement policy. So we can provide here. So this is other, again, it's a separate topic. So here we can provide that whatever our endorsement, what will be the endorsement policy of this chain code. In the next step, suppose if we want uh, to invoke the functions, we can invoke in the same way. Here we will be uh, instead of initiate instantiate, we will be giving invoke here, and parameters are almost same. We will be providing the argument, we will be providing the function name and name of the function and the number of arguments here. So it will be invoking it, and then again, sometimes it takes time. So I always have a sleep. You can have a 5 second, 10 second, whatever you want. It depends upon your network size. And finally, you can. I have created one more invoke for the order also. So if you don't like, normally we, for the production or something, we only install and it's instantiate other things we do ourselves. So here for the testing, I have created these three, and we can get the total time here, what exact, how much time it took. So this is the file. I will be, let's go to our folder. This is the script file we have created. Normally what we do, we create in the folder. When we are writing our web application or the API server. So this help us uh, mm, to bring our network up. So say D work TDHSC asset. Here I have two folder, TD client. First we will be starting this. So whatever exactly is going on, so it is creating the CouchDB, bringing up this PR0, whatever the configuration is available in basic network, and then it successfully created the channel for this here, and now our chain code is installed successfully, as we have given the delay here. So it is stop here. Oh, let's see further. Chain code invoke was successful. We can have we can see that output here, and we can see, because we have invoked two methods from initial order, from initiation to from init method in initiation of asset, then we have given the order. So two methods has been successfully created. Two methods has been successfully invoked using these commands. So clear now? Any question? We can see here in the CouchDB, if we want to see our the data, I can see here. This is my local host CouchDB. So I have a single CouchDB. I can see that. I can see the data, the ID with 100. What exactly happened to this now? This status is the order, and this is the data in the backend on Hyperledger Fabric, and this time we have used the CouchDB. So how we can use Mr. Ronald has given very good presentation. If you have missed the last, you can see the recording on Hyperledger YouTube channel. He has explained. He has done a great job to explain how the things can be, how we can create the APIs. So I already have, as we are out of time, I already created the web application. I will just give you the how we can create the middleware, and then how I have just example created the ES. I have just created a small web page to show the data, to query the data, and to ship the data. So how can be done? So I will be showing in a while. So I will first explain what has been done, how can be done. So this is these. I will be sharing this on this code on GitHub, on my GitHub. So you can go, and I will be also sharing all these commands and steps how you can play around if you want to. If you want to do the you if you want to invoke these you practice this. So this is how we do normally. I will be just explain this. This is we will be using the Express, and as I told you that I have given use the AGS framework just to show the quickly show the front end, that how the client application we can see. Here I have created two methods. One is the query and other is the shipment method. Order is we already done using this order has been done. So what we will be doing, we will be querying the data and we will be shipping also. So we can see that how whatever commands I have used in the CLI, so how we can use in the front end. So this is a method. If you see here for the querying the data, you have this is you can find in FabCar example is giving that I have there can be there are number of ways, but I have used the default way. To you will be using the user, and there will be you have to provide the channel name, you have to give the name of the contract, and here you have to provide the name of the function what we will be using through the command. So we are giving this is a hard code. We can provide this dynamic value, but for the demonstration purpose we will be giving the same 100 order ID, this 100 device ID. So to evaluate that what exactly there in the database. Then in the next step what I will be doing, this is I will be shipping, and how we can in the now here we are submitting the transaction. In the previous queuing we are there are different, if you go the Fabric Node.js SDK, so there are different options available to submit and evaluate the transaction. So here I have to write the data. So I will be submitting the transaction. I have to provide the name of the method. I have to provide the parameters that we will be we already use in CLI. So we have given the name of our chain code. We have given the name of the channel. It can be anything, but for the simplicity, this is the same demo like you can find in the FabCar chain. So uh, let's see the map. Let's try to run this application if I can. I have installed. I will be providing all these commands that what I have used for this. You can practice in you can see that how you can simply, these are the commands that you can simply create your application. I have used these simple commands and to create the client application. So you can go in GitHub. You can see that I have to install this app.js. Let's see if successfully running, and I'm listening on port number 300. Let's go here, and I will be refreshing this. Let's refresh this. If I query the chain code, I hope. See, so our status is order, whatever we saw here, the data. Now we can simply see the same thing on the client side applications also. This is a simpler way to show the data that how you can say. Suppose I want to. There is another method I created for the shipment. I haven't shown any message now, so you can see that now this is the shipment has been done. So I should have so any success. So here if I go the database CouchDB, you can see that this is status is shipped. So we have successfully created our web application. We have created the middleware to call the chain code. And yes, this is all from my side. Now, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. As I can see that a few questions that yes, I will be sharing. I will be sharing this code on GitHub. I'm planning to. I'm in maybe by 2 to 3 days. I will be sharing this on Slack channel. You can get the code and you can play around. So yes, I will be sharing. Thank you, Ronald.
Hello, Mushanka. I had a
Yes.
short question. In the Slack channel, I have posted the question. So I would like to discuss something about the complexity of a chain code. And for this, I have posted a link, an article about the distributed systems in general. So because some colleagues from the Slack channel asked me something about the chain code. And as I'm thinking about this question, I ask myself, how many complexity can we put in a chain code? So this example, this kind of examples where we have an asset, this asset has properties, and but how large? Could you say something from your experience? How large could an asset be? Can we build content relationship management, for example, in Fabric, or have we a border that we can say only the verification of this data record is verified in the blockchain and in a CiteDB, in any kind of database or replication system is the business logic stored. So what are your experience from the size of a chain code?
Yes, see, there can be different things. Can be different things. See, this is just a basic. So we have in this sample we have we are saving all the data on the Hyperledger Fabric. But if you go normal scenario, we don't go with this approach. We only save whatever the data we need. We have to save only that, because it's very costly to save all the data, and so it again depends upon the upon our requirement of the system. Number one, we will not be, if you ask me that if you ask me that if I'm building a application that will go on the production, so nobody will be saving all the data on the blockchain. Number one. Number two, see, I have seen different approaches. Even in the Go, there is you can have different files, and you can divide your chain code in different files, and you can call these. So this is default options are available that you can have different files, and you can to make it clear that's what I understand your question, right? You want that it's very big, that how you can be dividing this. So you can do also this, and normally what we do for this blockchain, we get all the data payload from here, and that's another topic we will be covering in the next. So we can return back this using the events. That this is also the most important topic to be covered. So we can be using the events also. So there are different approaches you can be using.
But we have, but I think we are limited because we have an asset. So we can only store an asset as in basic form. We have an asset, and we can change the state of the asset. Is that true? Can I say this? I don't have a structure like a data model, a complex data model.
So we can have by the way, we can have a complex data model here also. We can define here. I can show you the example. I can share you the example that suppose you have an address that already has so we can have a complex model here also. we can use.
Okay.
We can have a
Yeah,
multiple.
so you can make another struct for the from property, for example.
Exactly. We can do it,
And you can make an array for the comment property, which is struct, which is filled from another struct, something like this.
We can see that. I can share you. Yes, we can have a maybe I can say address structure. Suppose we are giving the address of any employee, so it might have that address might have something like city, maybe zip code. So we will be making like this. So I can share you the link that there are many options available. So we can have a definitely we can have a complex thing. Even sometimes we for the complex query we want like I have created here the structure for this for I want to show the this history like this. So sometimes we have when we have complex queries. So we always as for the output we have a different structure we can define here also.
Okay, thank you.
I can add just to the Mool Shankar's point about the size what you are asking Rana. So let's say if your chain code size is too big, if you think so, but you can still work on your container because each chain code would be a different container. So you can work on some of the infrastructure side to check the performance and the load. And even that, if you see that there's a huge size which is a little bit impacting a performance, you might split the chain code, and one chain code can call the another chain code in the transaction operation. So you can call one chain code to another chain code, get it within the transaction, you can get all operations done. So you can still split the chain code if you feel so, and that would be again deployed on a different container value. So that will again help you to modularize if it is a too heavy loaded if you feel so.
Yes, thank you, Sunit. We can have find out means I can share the different options and different links in the Slack channel. So basically, practically, I haven't done, but we can find and there are ways like Sunit said. So yes, we can do. Yes, there is. I think Pranjal Rathore has raised the hand. Is there any question, or we should wind up our session? Hello. I think we are done for the day. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will have a next session, so we will be announcing that what will be the topic and who will be delivering that. So thank you again. Thank you everyone. I hope I try to means I make it easy to people who are new to the chain code and writing the chain code, and this way it will be very helpful for them.